Well, hey everybody, Steve Huber here with Billion Dollar Contractor, and I just want to take a quick minute to introduce myself, tell you about my story, and really how I got to where I'm at today. Because it's funny, like in life, most of us don't think that we're going to go through the wraps and twists and turns and do things long term that we end up loving. And certainly for me, that story couldn't be more true. So I've actually been in home improvement now for 15 years, which again blows my mind. I actually started out in insurance and finance and was doing really well there, but I got like super burnt out. I was flying out all over the country. My son was super small at the time. He was a year old. He was like a newborn, and I was from Florida to California to Texas and Oregon, like all over the place. I was gone all the time. And I was like, hey, I just want to get like a desk job where I don't have to travel, but you know, I can be home every night. Like that was the big appeal for me. And so solar was one of those things where I felt like I could do that, and I felt like it was a new and upcoming market. So there was this company called Paramount Energy Solutions, and they were like the sister company, like the new little offspring of this company called Paramount Equity Mortgage in Sacramento. And I remember their commercials on TV. It was this guy, Hayes Barnard. He was always on TV pitching about mortgages, and now's the time to lock in your rate. And I was like, wow, like this is one of the best places to work in Sacramento. They're starting a solar company. This could be great. I went through 7 interviews to get a job. So maybe I'm just like a terrible interviewer. But thankfully, after 7 interviews, I finally, you know what happened on the 7th interview? I was like, are we doing this or not? Like, I got to go find work if we're not going to make it happen. And finally, my boss at he was like, hey, that's what I wanted. I wanted you to sell me. So anyways, if you're on interview number 6 or 7, just ask for the job, right? Like make him give it to you. So thankfully he had me in, and I came in, I took all this knowledge that I had learned basically running my own business on the insurance side and applied it to solar, and it was amazing. It was like, wow, this is a product that people can see, they can touch, their neighbors know what it is. Like nobody tells their neighbor they got a new life insurance policy, right? But solar was this great new thing that everybody was really, really excited for. So went in, and I was very fortunate. I broke like every record that existed in the company for a new rookie coming in. And they're like, Steve, what is it? I'm like, it's just hustle. Like it's working hard and doing the things that you say you're going to do. Sales is not rocket science. So did really well. And actually the company ended up getting bought by a company called Solar City. We were one of the first teams in I think the history of solar that learned how to really sell over the phone. We're talking hundreds of jobs a month. And so we got by a company called Solar City, which was later acquired by Tesla, and basically is the foundation for Tesla Solar today. So when we got bought, it was kind of the right time for me to leave. And so a couple of my coworkers who ended up being very good lifelong friends with me, we went to one of our subcontractors, Peterson Dean, and said, hey, would you like to start a solar company? And they said, yeah, it'd be great. Like we were installing all these jobs for Paramount, and now that Paramount got bought, we have no sales, so we need salespeople to come help us sell stuff, so we have work to do and jobs to build. And so we grew Peterson Dean. I didn't grow it by myself, but me and this team of people, we grew it from like nothing to a multi-$100 million a year solar, roofing, HVAC, and fencing and battery company in a multitude of states. It became one of the largest, as far as I know, privately held solar company in the United States. And it was really interesting when we went in. Our goal was just to get started, like just get momentum when you go in somewhere. And so we started off at this like little crappy office, and we just hustled. We'd be competing with each other and trying to get the most deals in as we could. And then that momentum ultimately leads to more things and more things and more things. And it's funny, it's like building a skyscraper, right? You just start building floor 1, and then you build floor 2, and then you build floor 3, and eventually before you know it, you have a 100-story building that has all these intricacies to it. But you have to start at like the first floor. You have to start with just going and getting momentum. And then the next day or the next month, you say, you know what, we could do something different. So that company over a series of years grew to be a very large and successful company. Very, very proud of the accomplishments and things we did at Peterson-Dean. And I met so many amazing people. We also had to figure out a lot of just processes. And when I look back at my career and how we're able to do what we do today and the things that I know today, it's because we broke everything. When you sell 10 jobs a month, there's some things that you break. When you sell 50 jobs a month, you break a whole different series of things. When you sell 100 or 200 or 500 jobs a month, you have to fix your processes along the way. Otherwise, you derail and you'll quickly work your company into a very bad position. Okay. And so it's just something you don't want to see happen. So we had to fix a lot of those processes along the way. So, it's it wasn't just sales processes. It was, how do we connect sales and operations better so that we could build the projects that we sold? How do we set good customer expectations at scale? How do you deal with lead routing and pipeline management? My teams at that point were getting a couple thousand leads a month, and you have to be pretty on top of how you manage pipeline. Just because if you let it go for a week, you're talking, 600 leads in a week that will blow right through. And now you've got 600 line items of data in 1 week that you have to go clean up. So you learn real fast how to get organized because your problems compound exponentially faster. I heard an analogy one time, and it was actually from my old boss at Paramount. He said, when you're in a sailboat and the wind kind of blows you off course a little bit, it's not a big deal. You can kind of quickly correct and just get back right onto the course and stay the way. If you're in the space shuttle and you don't pay attention for 2 minutes, you're going to be on the other side of the planet, right? So the harder and faster you're going, the more those little diversions will really set you off course. And so you have to make sure that you are good. So, today as we grow and scale with our contractors, it's hey, let's just make sure that we stay on course because it doesn't get easier when we do more volume through the system. So anyways, I was at Peterson-Dean till about 2009. And then I left Peterson-Dean and went to a great company in San Diego called Semper Solaris. And it had to do with, there were so many great and wonderful people that I had met in my time at Peterson-Dean. And a lot of them ended up going to this little solar company in San Diego called Semper Solaris. And they were like, Steve, you got to check this out. It's amazing. The owners are great. The culture's great. And I remember going in for an interview. So I talk on the phone with the owner. He's like, it sounds awesome. Why don't you meet with our CFO? I meet with the CFO. He happened to be in town in Sacramento on some business trip. And we went to tacos and hung out and had some Mexican food. And then they're like, you got to come down to San Diego. So I fly into San Diego. It's this warehouse. Everyone's wearing shorts and flip-flops. And it's just packed. And it's this ball of energy just running around getting stuff done. And now this company has one of the founders is actually a former Marine captain. And it's run like a gritty Marine, core, right? And it was wow, this is culturally such an awesome shift. The last company I was with at Peterson-Dean, we were in this glass building in the Bay Area, and it was very swanky. And then I go to this gritty startup kind of feel down in San Diego. It was this is awesome. I can really get behind this. So my first goal, first order of business was to start an inside sales team. We walked in, and in the first month, we had hired 10 people to launch an inside sales team. We quickly doubled that thereafter. And we took all these leads that they basically weren't able to facilitate. They were just doing in-home sales and said, hey, instead of throwing these leads away, why don't we give them to our inside sales team here who can now sell over the phone, skills I had learned back at Paramount and Peterson-Dean, and let's see what happens. And we ended up doing, I won't share the exact number, but let's say it was north of 30 million in sales in 1 year, just based on leads that basically were getting thrown away. So it taught me another very important lesson, and that is that you don't need more leads to necessarily make more money. Okay. And I see this so often where companies are I need to get my close rate better. I need to hire more people. I need to da 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 da. And there's all these things that they want to do. But then we go in and we look at the systems and we're like, you don't need to do any of that. You just need to get really efficient with the leads that you already have and design systems to where you're not going to derail and you're going to be okay. Like you've already got those things figured out. That's not really the thing to focus on. We can help you just add more money. And look, when you can add more money without adding more ad spend, that is a beautiful formula. It's a beautiful, wonderful thing. You know, everybody right now in certainly the solar space is trying to figure out what's my next step. Like, how am I going to compete with no tax credit? How am I going to compete with interest rates being where they're at? And a couple of these things have kind of played together over my experience to show that. Number one is we got to get really efficient with what we sell and how we operate. Okay, you're not going to have these big holes and gaps that exist in your process and be able to get away with it very long. It's going to get exposed because your competition is fixing those things today. Number two, we got to get, part of that efficiency means we got to make most out of every appointment that we run and every lead that we get. And if I can sell $50,000 worth of solutions instead of $30,000 worth of solutions, guess what? We just made drastically more money for every customer we sell. We don't need more salespeople to do that. We don't need more call center people to do that. We don't need more operations people to do that. We literally just almost double the revenue of the company without having to double our customers. Pretty dang cool, right? So adding those other products in there really, really, really helps out. And then finally, you can't do it without great people. Whether it was Paramount or Peterson Dean or Semper, like it all started with really awesome and exceptional people. And if you've never worked in a culture like that, which I'm finding is more and more rare in the construction world than maybe I had initially thought, if you don't know what great culture looks like, it's really hard for you to build great culture. And as the leader of a company, that is one of the core activities that you do. You set the vision. You hold people accountable. You set the standard. You have fun. When people are in a shitty attitude, you pick them up and you make them feel better. When they're feeling like they're knocking out of the park, you say, we got to do better next month, right? Like you have to understand where culture's at and help coach and be a good mentor to your people. And a lot of people, unfortunately, have never been around that before. And so anyways, I'd worked at Semper for almost 5 years, and I left in September of 2024. And I was like, hey, you know what I love doing is I love helping these companies like Semper, like Peterson Dean, like Paramount, go from grassroots, small companies, and I love to help them get big. And it just brings me so much joy when we see a company that's able to hire hundreds of people and provide hundreds of great jobs and help hundreds of thousands of customers. Like it's just such a great, wonderful thing. I think there's so many contractors out there that bust their butts. They work super hard, but they're not growing and they're just stuck. And a lot of it has to do with these facts that they've just not seen the promised land. They've not seen what it looks like to build a great culture, build a great company, build those processes so that you're not stuck building every job yourself. Like who wants to do that forever? And so I started a company called $1 Billion Contractor, and that's what we do. So we have frameworks for how to build an inside sales team, how to get financing in place, how to get your contractor license, how not to sell through an EPC, how to run your own leads and your own marketing so you're not stuck buying leads from these lead vendors, right? Like all those problems that we've had to fix already, we have frameworks for. And so we can literally give you the instructions and say, here's how you do it. And we do that for free within our community. And if you need additional help, if you're like, I work this way, I like to have people that I can kind of walk through things with, and they can be alongside me as I'm learning and say, no, Steve, you didn't think about that right. Here's how to think about it. And I can ask questions and get guidance. We have those services for you. So we have one-on-one consulting services that we do. And really, it's just to help you along a journey that we've already defined, and we already know exactly how it's going to work. We know it's going to be proven successful for you. My long-term goal, we're not there yet, but I'd love to see us basically be able to help sell construction businesses and sell contracting businesses. So that those guys that come in that are just trying to get going, we can help them watch their business grow, and then we can ultimately help them retire and become very wealthy in the process. And so that's my long-term vision for $1 Billion Contractors, that we become the place that you go to grow your business ultimately exit it if you want. Now, look, you don't have to sell, right? But build a business that's meant to be sold, because ultimately it's going to be a better business for you, right? One that's big, makes a bunch of money, it helps run itself, it's got defined processes. Hey, if you want to keep it for 100 years, awesome, more power to you. If you want to exit it at some point, we want to be able to help you with that. So that's probably the next version of what Billion Dollar Contractor becomes, is we help contractors actually exit their company when they are ready and when their business is ready to do so. So we want to take you from green pea all the way up to exited, and we want to make you a very big and very wealthy and successful contractor, because ultimately your communities deserve that. Like, that's why we do it. We want to help our communities grow. We want to help people grow. I'm tired of hearing customers say, I dealt with a bad contractor and now they're out of business and now they don't know what's going on. I feel like I got ripped off. Like, it's just a terrible thing. There's really no reason for the industry to operate that way. We think everybody should work for a great contractor. We think every client and every customer deserves to work with a great contractor that cares. And then finally, we think employees actually should work for great businesses that are around for the long haul and aren't going to go out of business all the time. So anyways, the best way, if that sounds at all interesting to you, we have a community that you can go. We're going to help provide you with all the resources. It's all the DIY stuff and tools and kits that you need to be successful. We have live trainings. We have experts that come in. So we have somebody that teaches about business principles. We have somebody that teaches about recruiting and hiring and team building. I'll get on there and talk about sales specific stuff. Like, how do you sell a roof? How do you build value? How do you cross sell without throwing away your sales? All those things. And by the way, we have small group sessions too. So if you want to come in and ask within a group, we're here for you. Okay. If you need more help than that, we have one-on-one consulting for you. And then finally, if you're like, hey, I'm ready. Like, I've got a 5-year plan. I want to blow this thing out and I want to exit my company and walk with a big fat pile of cash. We've got routes for you as well. So anyways, check out billiondollarcontractor.com. The community tab's in the upper right-hand corner. It's a blue button. It's free to join. Hop in there. We're probably going to make it paid at some point, but right now, as this video is made, it's free to join. We'd love to have you check it out. And again, we just want to see you win. So with that said, I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for being here.